for all things Halloween. This is Hauntformer, and everyone, happy 2021. Hopefully you're fueling up your new year with a positive mindset and maybe building some muscle and endurance if you're hitting the gym. But today, we're going to be fueling something a bit different, your nightmares. So join me as we hopefully make 2021 even scarier than 2020 with 5 more disturbing and creepy things that I've conjured up just for you, so you'll stay up nice and late. Let's jump into Nightmare Fuel. So our first Nightmare Fuel actually starts off with an anecdote. Quick little story time. It has to do with a dream I had back in December, and I never brought it up on the channel. I only told it to my family, but I think it's relevant to what we're about to dive into. To keep it brief, basically I had a dream where I went to my own burial mound, like the spot where my body would rest, and it was actually pre-dug. I actually got to look into my own grave. And I'm pretty sure I had the dream because I watched the 1950s version of A Christmas Carol where Ebenezer Scrooge sees his tombstone. That's probably where the dream came from if I had to, pinpoint it. But it really made me think about how fast life goes and just thinking about how eventually we're all gonna die. And then I found this video that comes from the weird bowels of YouTube. It's kind of a graphic video, not in terms of blood or gore or anything like that, but it definitely hits. So I'm not going to show the whole thing, but if you want to look it up on your own, you're twisted, do what you want. But this is a video, and there's several like it, of an actual crematorium, an actual cremation of a real human body. So, like I said, I'm not going to show the whole video. You can look it up for yourself if you feel so inclined. Basically, it shows this body charred, just roasting in a fire. And there's something off about watching a body like disintegrate like that really hit me. And I guess with my dream I had and watching that movie and then tying it into this video, just all of that really had me pondering about life and death. There are other videos on YouTube, I won't show them, that actually show a decomposition of a body. And while these videos are morbid, there is some fascination to them. Perhaps we are just morbidly curious, but I do think that there is some insight to be learned even while watching the darkest of things. I have a future video talking about creepy games and haunted cartridges and whatnot. There's a lot of stuff that's gone on with video games and hacks and ROMs, and there's a lot. But basically the point of this Nightmare Fuel is centered around a 1996 version of the Pokemon Red and Blue that was released on the Game Boy. And apparently that there is a specific town in the Pokemon game. I'm not very familiar with the game, so you must forgive me. But there is a particular town called Lavender Town, and it has a very particular theme to it. And apparently the high frequencies of that noise, along with the very melancholy melody of the song, actually drove some people to suicide in Japan. Of course, this was a rumor and nothing more than creepypasta lore on the early days of the internet, but that legend has always stuck with me, and this particular tune has always been in the back of my mind as one that is disturbing, repetitive, a little annoying, but very creepy. This is the first audio Nightmare Fuel that I have for you when it's a particular song, so I'll play for you a small sample of it here, but you can listen for yourself if you dare. It's definitely a disturbing melody, very creepy, very high-pitched, it'll almost ring in your brain. But the Pokemon Red and Blue, the Lavender Town, nicknamed the Lavender Town Syndrome, is dark, and I can most certainly understand why it still holds such significance today, even after being in the mythos of creepypasta lore for well over 10 years. Well, it wouldn't be a Nightmare Fuel without some good old creepy robots, and boy do I have a creepy one for you today. So last time I talked about the Cat in the Hat animatronic, I've talked about submechanophobia before. This one, you're either gonna find it really funny or you're gonna find it really creepy like I do. I get why people find it funny though. These are galloping robots. Some of them are made to gallop like a deer, some like a cat, but essentially they are giant robotic animals that are supposed to mimic the movements of a real life animal, their counterparts. I do think they do a good job with the motion, especially on a variety of terrains, but the unnatural look of the robot with this lifelike movement really unsettles me for some reason. If you read the comments on a lot of these galloping animal robot videos, you'll notice a lot of people find them oddly funny or cute, and I guess I can see where they're coming from. I mean, it definitely is supposed to resemble an animal, and a lot of these animals like deer we find to be very cute, or like a cat, but for whatever reason, the fact that it has no head or no skin, it's just a robot moving like that, if I saw that running down the street, I would be out, both in my pants and out the door, because that is... no. I haven't really discussed the SCP Foundation on this channel, and perhaps that's a bad thing, considering that I am a horror and Halloween channel. But the SCP Foundation, if you're in the dark on this, you probably have heard of it. It's essentially a underground organization that catalogs either haunted or mysterious objects. It's fictitious, but it's still really interesting, and they have thousands of these weird things that you wouldn't think of every day, but they do have a few that really stand out. I mean, SCP-173 is probably the most popular, but SCP-1875 is the one that I wanted to talk about in this segment for Nightmare Fuel. Particularly an image that is associated with the object, which is actually it's a chess robot. Essentially, it is this chess automaton that would play chess with human opponents. Of course, it's based off a real chess automaton built in the 1800s that was actually fake, but this one is apparently haunted, and if you look at the images that are associated with the chessboard, you will also experience fatigue and otherwise dark thoughts. I'm going to show you the images associated with this particular legend on the SCP Foundation. There's actually a fellow YouTuber online here that looked at the image for several hours on end and noticed feeling very uncomfortable. So I'm sure there is something to the legend, but regardless, this image is highly disturbing. Apparently, the real image that this, creepy photo is based on is a distorted image of two people on a roller coaster ride, a kind of a screenshot of their faces reacting to the attraction, but with the filters and with the pulls and the stretches that the photo has gone through, it really just It really is quite haunting, and the SCP Foundation has a lot of creepy images if you dive into the lore, but that one is by far one of the scariest. And finally, last, but certainly not least, as far as this video is concerned, we have the nightmare fuel that is the most real, I guess. It's not a ghost, it's not any creature that's gonna kill you. I mean, it could, but this is the sound that a mountain lion makes when it screams for its fellow mountain lionesses and knees, and for its friends. When it wants to communicate, it lets out a scream. And you would think that animals can't emit human-like noises, but if you found the goats funny on YouTube, then you're gonna find the mountain lion disturbing. Can you, like, imagine for a minute if you were camping out in the woods and heard that? No. If one of your resolutions for the new year was to go camping, stay far away from mountain lions, because it literally sounds like a woman being stabbed in the woods, and you would run across a lion in the process. So that is a double whammy of no-nos. But just to hear that coming from a brush of woods is terrifying, and most certainly fits in with my final installment of this episode of Nightmare Fuel. But there are plenty more planned for the rest of 2021. Thank you for watching this video. I plan on having new uploads, if I can, every Thursday, so once a week, here on YouTube, so make sure to hit the bell and subscribe to Hauntformer if you haven't. New Nightmare Fuels, new episodes of Uncanny, new builds, new reviews. I have a lot planned. Halloween is all year, so don't miss it. Thank you for watching, and remember, as always, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.